Well, it was a wild weekend at the Rolex 24. 6-hour caution for fog, a crash on lap 1, and not one but two great finishes. We're going to get into it. Big news in NASCAR dropping this morning. Out with the Roval, in with the Oval. NASCAR continuing to turn back the clock in the first season with the chase in more than a decade. And we will get you set. Clash week, it's race week, our 2026 NASCAR season preview. The green flag's waving, let's get it rolling. Motorsports Today starts now. And we welcome you live here on TikTok to another edition of Motorsports Today, powered by SeatGeek. Use code MTODAY, all caps one word, for $20 off your first purchase at checkout. We got a packed squad for you today. Eddie Kalegi, Adam Tropper, Tim Moore. We have our NASCAR contributor Kelsey Christman joining us on the podcast for the first time. Drew Jewah is back for the first time in a while too. So a lot to get to on this episode. Reminder, you can find us on the web at motorsportstoday.net and find us on the socials at Motorsports Today. I'm going to have a lot of content. It's a busy week. IndyCar Media Day tomorrow and Wednesday. We're going to have interviews with drivers on the socials all week. And weather permitting, Tim is leaving the snow in New York to go to the snow in North Carolina for the Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. I don't know what the weather is going to hold, Tim, but yeah.
I'm bringing a shovel with me if it counts. I'm just letting you know. I'm bringing the darn shovel because I don't know what to expect.
You may have to help dig out a couple cars. Who knows?
I mean, for all I know, I may be taking a trip down to Carolina just to go back north to come back down to Carolina next week because I have no idea. And then maybe it'll snow next week too. And then I'll be trapped somewhere down there. And then, they'll just cancel the Clash and then it'll be Daytona 500 time.
Well, guess what? You're racking up the miles already this year to try to chase your numbers from last year. So
I think we're starting off, I think it's somewhere north if you exclude, going back and forth there, being to the track. I think we're just about 2,000. It's just shy of 1,000 from here down. So it'll be fun. 10 hours though. So be fine.
And what's the number to beat? 14,000, correct?
Oh, we're gonna kill that this year. We're gonna kill that. We're gonna be a quarter of the way through that by the time we're done with Atlanta. If we get Atlanta, then that's what we'll say.
Yes, we shall see. We will keep everybody updated on what races we are going to. But speaking of 10-hour drives, how about a 24-hour drive? I want to touch on the Rolex 24 just to start this episode because I know we don't cover IMSA that much, but it's a great event and there's overlap. There were plenty of IndyCar and NASCAR drivers that participated, and the driver who had the legendary drive to end up winning it for Penske Porsche is a Formula One driver in Felipe Nasr, who became just the third driver ever to win 3 consecutive Rolex 24s, all in that Penske Porsche car. 60th anniversary for Team Penske, who's won everything in everything, and they start their 60th anniversary season off right. And Tim, I'll go to you first because this was an interesting race in that class because you had the 2 Penske cars that were dominant throughout the night, but this 31 car that had so much adversity. NASCAR fans knew about it because Connor Zilisch was one of the drivers. They get the pole. They have it taken away from them in post-qualifying inspection. They have issues on pit road. They get penalized during the 6-hour fog caution. Zilisch barely gets to race it because he has a 4-hour stint that's all under yellow, and somehow they found themselves within 2 seconds with a chance. The one thing, Jack Aitken, I think, had to be a little more aggressive when he caught Nasr with like 20 minutes to go, because when you get there, you never know how many more times you're gonna get there. But in the end, it was a great fight and a great accomplishment for Penske to win it.
Hey, just a reminder, too, by the way, about the 31, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember which horseshoe it was that they were going to. It could have been the one after the kink or the first one, but they had a near moment, too, where they went off track in, what was it, the first 3 hours, I think it was?
Yeah.
I mean, the race felt so long to that point when you're staying up and watching most of it, but they had an incident during the daytime where, it could have been the end of the race for them very early on. And, for the 31 team just to be there in the mix and, traffic played its hand there right at the end, unfortunately, to what would have been a very fun, chaotic finish. But, you got to give their hats off to that number 31 Cadillac team because, they just kept on battling and battling and battling throughout the day. And, it became apparent, too, by the way. It just seemed like Nasr's group with Penske just had a little bit more front grip on the long run. It felt like that Whelen car, the GTP, was just a little bit. It was like good the first, 15, 16 laps of the run. It wasn't bad pace wise, but it just the overall grip and working through traffic wasn't as good as what the 17 was able to do. And needless to say, I mean, they stayed there right there at the end. And again, you just get bad timing. But I mean, for Connor Zilic, by the way, and I'll take my shot right here at Jeffrey, our driver of the year beat Alex Pillow, which is another thing that grinds my gears. And it's not exactly Pillow. It's something else about Pillow that grinds my gears. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I mean, for them to come home second, I think with everything that's happened is remarkable. And I want to give props to, Felipe as well. 3 times in a row, it is so hard to come to Daytona and not have trouble for 24 hours. And for him to do it, what's that math there? 24, 48, was it 72?
72.
Yeah.
72 hours with no big issues, no electrical issues, anything like that is very, very fortunate, very, very lucky. And I'm going to be eager to see next year for him to try to make it 4 in a row. But it's very clear right now, if you want to win, you want to be with Nasser in the car, that's for sure. Another thing, too, I just want to say as well for Penske, after I know this is an IndyCar, but after how everything went last year, and obviously in the Cup side, you didn't win a championship, this is a good tone to set going to 2026 that you're getting things back on the right foot. Because I would argue of the other 2 performances, this one was the most deserved, in my opinion, for them of just how they drove from start to finish. And for Penske, I mean, they're putting themselves in a great spot to start the year.
100%, and it's a good tone center. Their IMSA program has always been great, but yeah, with all of the clouds that organization has faced between all the penalties at the Indianapolis 500, Tim Cindric getting fired, uncertainty about Austin Cindric's future with the Cup Series team, and their streak of winning NASCAR Cup Series championships coming to an end this past year, even after 2024's was a little controversial to say the least. It is a good way to start the year for Penske barometer-wise. But I want to touch on Zilic for a second, Tropper. I know this race wasn't the most conducive to your sleep schedule, and you definitely missed this part, but Tom Christensen was on the broadcast. He's 9-time winner, 24 Hours of Le Mans, maybe the most successful endurance driver ever. And he made a point to go on a long tangent to Steve Letarte and Townsend Bell on the broadcast about how much he is interested in watching Connor Zilic's career, because he is so fascinated by the fact that someone who started in Mazda MX Cup, has won at the Rolex 24 before in a class, almost got the overall win here, and is doing what he is doing in NASCAR. And I think this is just such a testament to the fact that, and it's worth talking about now because we're, a week away from the Clash, 3 weeks from the 500. There are going to be a lot of eyes on Connor Zilic in the Cup Series, just from outside of the NASCAR sphere, just because of how much credit he's been able to earn because of all he's been able to accomplish at such a young age.
100%. And that is truly what's making him the most hyped up NASCAR prospect that I can honestly remember. I mean, the last one that had this much hype was maybe Joey Logano, but we were too young to really acknowledge that firsthand. And on top of that, social media wasn't as big of a thing. So this is really the first time we are seeing a potential generational star in the making, but everyone knows that he's a potential generational star in the making. Some other times, it takes a few years for drivers to burst off on the scene, but Zilic, I mean, you're right. I didn't see that one part of the 24 broadcast. I did see the part where he was talking about maybe doing F1 one day, but once again, testament to how versatile Zilic is. And he's been on my radar since, I want to say, it was ended 22. I've mentioned this before. I think it was an IMSA race. It was in Nashville when it coincided with IndyCar.
You definitely brought it up before he even turned 16.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
you definitely brought it up.
Because the one when he really came on the scene was the ARCA race when he almost beat Jesse Love. But you were talking about him a few months before that.
Yep. So first off, I take credit in that. I know ball. Zilic was on my radar before a lot of other people. So just remember that. But I guess I was proven correct time and time again because he is incredibly versatile, both in NASCAR and in road racing. By doing Rolex 24s like this, coming in second overall, even though he didn't win, the fact that it's not even his first appearance, he's 19 years old. He's going to be making his first Daytona 500 appearance. Everyone has good things to say about him, and for good reason. Honestly, I can't think of anything bad about his racecraft other than once he gets more experience, he's going to be even more unstoppable. So yes, I did not mean for this to become a complete Zilch rant, Eddie, but it's well deserved, and the hype is 1,000,000% going to be there. And I'm just happy that it's going to bring in more eyes to NASCAR, because you're going to see these open wheel guys, you're going to see these sports car guys actually have a little bit more of an interest, because they're going to want to see Zilch's progression throughout his rookie campaign and then his career. So who knows whatever opportunities this could bring in terms of bringing sponsors to NASCAR, bringing other drivers, maybe wanting to do a one-off race. I mean, there is a lot that could happen for NASCAR that just really helps amplify the sport as a whole.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we'll wrap with the Rolex convo and then get Kelsey and Drew in here to talk about some big NASCAR news that happened today. But, Tim, I just wanted to touch on two quick things from this race. I mean, there were a few weird elements. Obviously, the crash on lap 1, all the build-up, the fact, the months of development, and you have half the GTD Pro field go crashing, including the CrowdStrike car that ultimately ended up winning the race, was the first one that went around, which is just the hilarious irony of all of that. The 6-hour caution for Fog was completely insane.
Longest in history, by the way.
Yes, I understand why it happened. I understand why it had to happen. It's just so frustrating that had to happen.
The majority of the race that I watched, that part.
I figured with that was
froze up for that part, only that part.
Hey, I mentioned this in the group chat. I finally got my act together and watched the F1 movie, only like 9 months too late. And spoiler alert, the first scene starts at the Rolex 24. And my jaw drops because I'm like, okay, if this isn't fate, I don't know what is. Because the opening scene, it sets Rolex 24, 11 p.m. When do I start the F1 movie? Like around 11 p.m. And they're doing the Rolex 24 in the movie. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's my sign to watch this movie.
Now let me ask you a question, Tropper, because I still haven't seen the movie yet. I know I have to.
I'm not the last one to see it. Incredible.
Yes, no, but okay, so we got a couple. But my question for you, Tropper, you don't have to spoil anything, but was it a fog caution in that scene of the Rolex 24?
I wish it was that realistic. If it was, maybe I would be incredibly terrified and think that I don't even know what conspiracies I'd be able to come up with. So thankfully, no fog involved in the movie.
Now, one more thing I just wanted to touch on before we get to NASCAR, Tim. The other battle coinciding with Nasser versus Aitken was in the GTD class, the slowest cars out there, but you had Philip Ellis and Nicky Team going toe-to-toe to the point that in the tri-oval, Team tries one of the worst blocks I've ever seen. He went up to block after Ellis had almost cleared him and basically almost spun him out because he just went right into his left rear.
He was at a 45-degree angle, going all the way back down the track. I don't even know how he saved it. But I'll say it like this, too. I mean, at least this year didn't have a BMW slowing down in front of you and trying to slow everybody up, and there's manipulation there left and right. So it's a lot better, but it's funny, too, because was it I don't even remember. Was it the 57 that got the warning? I don't even remember who got the warning at this point.
57.
So they're going back and forth, and I mean, it looked like they were racing NASCARs. That's the best way to put it. And road racing is completely different in terms of style and approach, but I mean, just back and forth hard racing. You thought, again, if that one little slip up doesn't happen on the last lap, you thought the draft was going to come and it was going to be a fact. But unfortunately, it didn't turn out to be. But I mean, the lap 1 chaos, it's insane to me. It's insane. You spend that much time, and yes, I understand you spin out, it stinks, it is what it is. But then the spotters aren't communicating, and somebody turns around, there's another car all the way in what would be NASCAR turn 1, trying to turn around and get there, and you don't communicate that there's a car coming directly at them. I mean, come on now. You can't have that elemental collapse this early into a race.
It was like 30 seconds after the wreck, too. Yes. And it was so bad.
Ridiculous. And if anybody watching hasn't, seen that clip, because they didn't show it on TV because they didn't have the angle. So if you didn't see that clip, I recommend it because it's on Twitter. It is it's just a very bad fail. I'll just put it like that.
Yes,
and I just want to mention the one thing that grinds my gears too, since we're going to move to NASCAR.
Yeah, no.
I'm getting sick and tired of it because I hear it on IndyCar broadcasts and I hear it from particularly as well Chip Ganassi. We need to make a common decision right now. Is it Pelot or Pelou? Because Google Translate says it's Pelot. I say it's Pelot. Every American says it's Pelot. But for some reason, the non-American announcers say it's Alex Pelou, and I'm getting sick of it. It is one or the other. Somebody freaking pick, and we stick with it. I can't take it anymore.
Now, yes, it confused me when I sat in on a presser right after I think it was like his contract extension with Ganassi, and Chip Ganassi kept calling him Palou. It's like,
Can we make a decision? And where does that even come from? Because I even put it in the translation for Spanish and even other like native Spanish countries, and it's still Palau. Like I just don't understand.
I'm very confident I've heard Alex Palou refer to himself as Alex Palou. And that's why I'm sticking with that. But yes, I don't, I don't
Of the names that are hard to pronounce, that is not one of them. I'll put it like that. Why do we have to make things complex? It's not that. It doesn't need to be that way. It just doesn't.
No, you're valid. You're valid.
Kind of my gears.
Y'all just need to get on a presser with him and just shoot him straight and be like, hey, I just need to know, how do you say your name?
Jeffrey's going to be on with him Wednesday at 1. So
All right, then
yes,
that's
I will make
his
sure
one
that's
and only
his-
question.
Yes, his one and only
One
question.
and only
is how do you
question.
pronounce her name?
How do you pronounce your last name? I need to know.
But Palou got outperformed by our driver of the year, Connor Zilich, as we mentioned. Shout out to the GTD battle. That was really good. I think that's so challenging, too, because you're the slowest cars. Like, they were being expected to let Nasser and the fast cars through while they're battling for the win. So give credit to both of those guys. But it was a very fun Rolex 24 to get us in the mood for the racing year, which... Technically, we'll see with the snow, but it is race week for the Clash. But there was some news that came out of nowhere this morning that the Roval is gone and effective this year. And they're going to have the Charlotte Oval back in the playoffs. Now, I want to let Kelsey chime in because I know you were at the Roval race back in the fall. Your initial thoughts on this move, and especially happening so suddenly this year?
Definitely threw me off so suddenly. I'll say it. Death to Roval. I'm here for it. I'm very excited to not have a road course in the playoffs this season. I think it was a great concept. I was at Daytona road course in 2020 for COVID. If you're going to turn an oval to road course, I think that track just did it better. It lacked a lot of visibility overall from the fan perspective. And talking about manipulation, last year, that's a track that hosted tons of it for the playoffs.
Yeah, it did. Here's my thing, Drew. I like the fact that the Charlotte Oval gets 2 races. If you're gonna pick like 3 or 4 tracks that are gonna have 2 dates in the schedule at the same venue, at the same layout, Charlotte should be one of those. It's in NASCAR's backyard, and besides Kansas, it's been the best track for the next gen car these last 4 years. Coke 600 has proved it the last 4 years, even the year with the whole rain shortened race. They've all been really, really good. My thing is, if you're going to have a 10 race chase and it's like this points accumulation, it should be representative of the rest of the schedule, which is why I do think in 2027, I liked the year they had Watkins Glen in the playoffs. I think if you move Watkins Glen, I think having it in May is weird to begin with. Move it to September. It's one road course in the chase. I'm not trying to make the chase easier for Shane Van Gisbergen or something. What I'm saying is if you're going to have 4 road courses in the schedule, which let's be honest, that's what it's still going to be. They're going to have some sort of gimmick road course plus Coda, Sonoma, and Watkins Glen. That's not going to change anytime soon. You should have one of them in the chase to be representative of the full schedule. I think Watkins Glen is the best for that. I just think to be able to have all track types represented in your postseason, that's the fairest way to do it, which is my only gripe with this. But I think overall, a good move. I like the Roval for what it was, but right now you're getting a much better product from the Oval than the Roval. It's a good move for NASCAR in the long term.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like the Roval. I mean, the first I think year it was where Jimmy Johnson wrecked Martin Truex Jr. I think it was for the win.
2018, I had nightmares on that one.
Oh man, I mean that's what kind of got everybody hooked on the Roval, and unfortunately, kind of started to down spiral. And they I just feel like the first layout wasn't safe. I mean, you saw people hit the backstretch wall at like 140 miles per hour. They made the correct change by changing the backstretch. They went to the new layout this last year, I think 2 years now. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's just not the same as the Oval. I mean, the Oval produces a good race every single year. And with the fact that you can't go to a track more than 2 times, it's just not worth it. I like the fact that we go to Daytona twice. I'd love to go there 3 times for the road course. I feel like that's the most prestigious road course that at least has an oval. But like you said, Watkins Glen, I loved it when it was in the playoffs, especially when we're going back to the chase. So I'd like to see that maybe in 2026, 2027. But like you said, we have to have at least one. If we have, multiple ovals, a plate track, a short track, we got to at least have one road course, especially with the fact that I think we had 6 last year on the schedule. So
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing
5 in the regular season, correct?
5 in the regular season. I think 1 in the playoffs. So
Well, not anymore.
yeah, exactly. So but honestly, just surprised with the sudden change. I feel like most of the time nowadays you have a leak. I feel like NASCAR did a pretty good job about, keeping it kind of close quarters. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that people like SVG and AJ Allmendinger kind of, if they do squeak into the playoffs, it kind of hurts them a little bit. But I think SVG, regardless, will still do pretty solid in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
I will
If he makes
say,
it.
Go ahead, Kelsey.
the post-race survey that they sent out to everyone did ask if you'd be more interested in coming back again if it went back to an oval. So there were some small signs that they were surveying interest to bring back the oval.
Well, I see. My other question is too, is I know, granted, NASCAR, has a big part in making that decision of going back to the oval for 2 races. But the other thing I really question too, and obviously, Kelsey, you were there for the last one. Did you notice? Well, I guess you weren't there for the 600, right?
I was there for both.
Or both. So did you notice a significant crowd difference from the 600 to the Roval? So my
Definitely.
wonder is if ticket price or ticket sales made a big difference in that. Because I mean, Drew, we were at the 600, for example, 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was so hard to walk around, especially during the rain, and just find any space for anything because that many people were there. And it also didn't help a particular president right there. It also came that year, and then everything goes wrong when he seems to show up to racetracks, but that's a different story.
I think it also has to do with the fact that it's one of the crown jewels. I mean, it's the Coke 600, so
Yes.
it's kind of hard to compare that. A playoff. I know it's a playoff race compared to a crown jewel, so it's kind of on the same level. But Coke 600 is the second biggest race of the year behind the 500. So it's kind of hard to say, ticket sales are down because of that. Because I mean, we're going to the 600 this year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to compare in that sort of sense.
I think at the end of the
Comparing
day,
that-
it would. Oh, sorry. You can go, Kelsey.
Comparing it that way, though, going to the 500 and the Coke Zero 400, your crowd's pretty much matched. You might have a little bit more hype, a little bit more celebrity appearance, but your Coke Zero 400 still selling out. Every RV spot's taken. I want to say there's 2 other people in the same row as me for the Roval this year.
Yeah, it says too, and I know people that used to get the sweet boxes as well for the Roval races and everything, and I know they had said that they didn't really sell out as even those boxes this year. So to me, it just seems like I think again the ticket sales go into a play of that. And again, to be honest with you, I mean you can't sit here after last year's Coke 600 and say that wasn't one of the races of the year. Regardless of who won it, how it won it after William Byron dominated. I mean the battle between him and Ross Chastain at the end was remarkable. And if you can get that twice a year, that's great. But does it come with the concerns? Yes, because for example, I've been at the last 2 Kansas races. I can tell you that since the playoffs 2 years ago, the outlook of fans coming to Kansas has been completely different than what we saw back at, the race after Larson had that great finish. I'm eager to see what it does for Charlotte. I think that this year's playoff race, people turn out. It's what's beyond this. But regardless for NASCAR, I mean, it's very clear, right? They're not going to go to a road course this year for the playoffs. They need to in the future. But if you also have these deals with the tracks and you're not going to really interchange the tracks, what's the next track in the playoffs to potentially become a road course? Because that's a fair question because, I mean, Kansas has a road course, but it's not good. It's it wouldn't be good for NASCAR. What else? I mean,
Coda. That's
No.
the only one that I could see.
Yeah.
Coda and
Indy
Watkins
Road.
Glen are the two.
Yeah,
I
I
mean-
don't think I think they've learned from their mistakes of converting ovals
Yeah.
to road courses. Let's not forget, just 5 years ago, there were three quote unquote Rovals on the schedule in the same year. You had Daytona, Indy, and Charlotte all on road courses. 3 of the 4 tracks that host crown jewel races were road courses, and let's be honest, did not pan out the way they had hoped.
Right, but my
That's
thing
like
is
there's
just
the,
more
that's
the
the
That's
reason
my-
that
that's
none
my
of them are on
overarching
the
point
schedule
here.
anymore.
Yeah, that's my overarching point here, that the Roval was a gimmick. I mean, we saw it in 2018, and let's be honest, but road course racing that was only the 3rd road course on the schedule when they first brought it. Like, it was still few and far between. It made sense to bring a road course or that type of road course racing, even in a Roval capacity, to the NASCAR schedule. But now that there's Coda, San Diego, Chicago, whatever you want to call it, but there's an abundance of turning right, basically, at the end of the day. You don't need this one anymore. And as we see with the next gen car, the road course racing just isn't good. That's something else we haven't mentioned yet. Road course racing has not been good.
I
the
think
last
there's
few seasons.
also, I just want to say too, and I agree with all of your points. I think another layer to this too is the fact that road courses inherently look better the first couple of times you go there because there is that chaos factor and there's that unknown factor for the drivers. That's why the Roval was crazy the first time around. That's
Street
why
course,
Daytona Road
Chicago.
Course, Chicago.
Yeah, back in the
Coda.
Coda didn't have rain the first time. Like Mexico City last year, that's a common trend that eventually the novelty wore off for the Roval, and it honestly became kind of a boring track. Also because the super dangerous backstretch chicane from the first year, which did add some intrigue, admittedly, was changed and it became a lower speed turn. It just didn't, and it's narrow too, so it wasn't really a passing zone. It really kind of, I think, detracted from the racing too.
I say, well, my question to, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kelsey.
There's too many good road courses and too many opportunities to introduce new ones to be running a fake one.
Yeah. No, I'm feeling that.
I'd
Would
love
we
to
be
see in the
happy even if it-
future.
I was
I'd
just
love
going
to
to say,
see
would
in
we
the
be happy?
Oh, dang it! No, you can go.
Would we be happy with 5 road courses going for if 2027, say they move Watkins Glen to the playoffs, would we just be happy with the current slate of road courses? That's all I was going to ask, and then Drew, you could go to your point.
Yes, I'd be happy with that.
Okay, that's what I'm curious.
I would be happy, but I do want to say this. You do have to remember NASCAR still has some sort of international plans in the near future. We're not just finishing with Mexico. So, and the reality is, I'm just being real. If you're going out of America, you're going to likely be going to a road course because there's not many oval options you can really choose from outside of America. So if NASCAR wants to go international, you're going to have to account for that, but that also means you're going to have to lose another road course more than likely unless you want 6 a year, right? So if you're at that 5 number and you're happy with that, which for the record, I'm fine with 5, but it's going to be a tough decision on what gets lost in the shuffle.
Tim, aren't we only at 4 now? Because of the Roval's
Actually, I'm sorry, the Roval's gone. Yes, we're 4.
Sonoma, Glen, why did I say Roval? Sonoma, Glen, Coda, and San Diego.
Yes, but San Diego, I would like to imagine, isn't going to be. Oh, well, it could be a 1 year. I don't know.
That's what I'm starting to think here. Kelsey, I want to see if you're
on theory on this.
Yes, I want to see if my theory is the same as yours. My thought is that this is a 1-year placeholder for like the 250th anniversary of America, and they're doing that. And then during this time, they're trying to figure out some international contracts, whether that's Montreal. I would not rule out Sao Paulo, Brazil, because they're trying to get a presence there. I feel like that San Diego's a holdover for a spot that's going to become like an international rotation for the 4th road course. I don't know if that's the same theory you have.
Completely different, but
Okay.
that'd be really cool.
Okay.
So we're taking our trucks to St. Pete this year. Are we testing St. Pete to be a street course in the future for all series if we're so obsessed with the street race factor?
That's true. I did kind of forget about that.
I say too, what if they do the Miami GP street course? Like, I'll say it like this. I would have been very intrigued, by the way, and it stinks like this is a one time where Homestead's the championship track because, like, I mean, who wouldn't want to race the Homestead road course? I'm just saying, like, that would be the best oval to convert to it currently, but obviously you're not going to do that for the championship race.
Or
I
just
want to throw in my input here.
Yeah.
So this is what I thought. It was kind of piggybacking off one of y'all. I can't remember which now. I think that NASCAR is kind of in the sense that they're just trying stuff out, and it kind of goes with everybody's here. I think they kind of keep that 4 to 5 range. They do a one-off this year at San Diego. They move to Montreal next year, and they continue to kind of switch out road courses, keep their, their core three. I mean, they've shown that Coda has been a great track to go to, especially for this road course. Watkins Glen, and Sonoma are staples of the series, and they have been for a while. I think that they're going to continue to rotate out these racetracks and, continue to go to different road courses. I wouldn't be surprised if we see, like you said, Miami, St. Pete, maybe even Lime Rock in the future. I know that Lime Rock's a kind of small track.
Well, they can't do Cup. Pit road's too narrow. They would have to reconfigure that entire track to make it work for Cup and Xfinity.
But still, I mean, you could even see them go to another street course with Nashville, like the Nashville IndyCar does. So there's so many different options, and I think NASCAR's in that kind of testing phase and kind of figuring out what works and won't. So.
Yeah. I don't want to sweep on the international expansion point either. Eddie, you mentioned Sao Paulo. I think there's an even better option for Brazil. There is the first oval track in Latin America that was built last year. They ran there for the Brazil series. I wrote about it in one of my final papers for Columbia. Just have to shout that out there. I mean, there's so many options. There's even Japan. You could go back to Motegi, what IndyCar did. What didn't Legacy Motor Club just go over there?
They did a whole thing there.
You see? I mean, maybe I'm grasping at straws a little bit here, but it doesn't just have to be road courses. If we're talking about true expansion, there's the possibilities are endless.
Hey, and if they're still worried about SRX, they can go to Saudi Arabia too. You never know.
I mean, Tom Brady's playing flag football there in 2 months. So is like Max Crosby and Saquon Barkley. Everybody's going over there. So at some point, you feels like it's inevitable. But
do we ever see NASCAR going to VIR? I know that's their kind of like testing course, so it's kind of difficult. But I mean, I would not. It's kind of difficult to say, but I'm just throwing stuff out there.
I mean, yeah, you have VIR, you have Road Atlanta. I mean, those are two. I mean, Brad.
Here's another one.
The best history at Road
Eddie,
Atlanta.
you know this one better than me, but New Jersey Motorsports Park, is that capable?
I don't think that's capable for a cup race, but I mean, it held ARCA for many years.
Going back to Road America,
I was just going to say,
I would like Road America. Yeah.
So going back to what I said, just kind of, I would not be surprised in 10 years that we've had 5-6 different road courses.
Yeah, but one that will not be there is the Charlotte Roval. It is gone, and the oval is back in the chase this fall, and that gets us into our NASCAR season preview. So how's this is going to work is this. I have a whole list of questions. We're going to kind of do rapid fire around the room just to cover all the bases of the Cup Series this year, and then
Ty Gibbs going to win a championship?
No.
Oh,
that was not one of my questions.
Oh, I just figured I'd ask because
No. That's a
Jeffrey, if you're watching, Ty Gibbs is not going to win a championship. I'm sorry.
I still could offer.
He's not going to win a race. He's not going to win a race.
No, yeah, he's not going to. I don't think so.
He wasn't even in our hot takes of winning a race, Eddie.
My hot take was that Carson Hocevar is going to win before him. So, and I don't even think that's a hot take. Of course, the
comment section did not like that. By the way,
what
they were not fond of that.
We still have the hotline, I believe. So if anyone wants to dispute us straight up,
the person who was like, "Oh, you guys suck recently. What are these? These aren't even hot takes." John Hunter Nemechek winning a cup race is a pretty hot take to me. I'm just
It's a hot take. RCR winning multiple races is not a hot take in my opinion. RCR will win. I'm still sticking by that.
Hey, all I'm saying, I'm gonna call this out now. Eddie and Tim. I'm going to say this now. If Carson Hocevar, if y'all both get access to Atlanta, if Carson Hocevar wins, I will shotgun 2 beers back to back with you guys. I will do that.
I don't drink, so it'll be with
me.
Oh,
y'all will be there.
I think this is a family show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's PG-13.
Yeah. More on that, by the way.
Depends on the day.
That has a very good tie-in to our diecast of the week at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. But let's circle around some questions, and I want to start in the Gibbs camp. I'll go to Kelsey on this one. Chase Briscoe, remarkable season last year, makes it to the Final Four. That car did not lose anything. In fact, it gained with Briscoe replacing Martin Truex Jr. Do you think he continues the momentum and remains a championship contender in the Chase format this year?
Definitely. He is a very consistent driver. We've seen him make it to victory lane, but we always see him in the top 10. I think he's very slept on. And he's overlooked by a lot of people that put Bell as their number one for Joe Gibbs. But I'm going to say Briscoe's their best chance at a championship.
That's valid. I think he is definitely going to continue things. Now let's go to someone who also made the Final Four last year, Drew. That's William Byron. Now maybe he'll luck into another Daytona 500 win, but he's someone who can score points and proved that last year. He's also someone who has the tendency to go into slumps and go 6-8 weeks and just be non-existent, as he was this past summer, and that cannot happen in this year's chase format. Do you think William Byron will have a better season or worse season than he had a year ago?
I'm gonna say he's gonna just go down. I don't think he's gonna win the 500. If he wins 3 times in a row, I mean, shout out. But I think he's gonna make the playoffs with ease. I just don't think he's gonna be the same as last year.
Timothy, Byron's teammate Alex Bowman has been kind of
It'd be great. It's gonna be a great 2026.
He's been the fourth fiddle at Hendrick Motorsports. What are your expectations as a media member / Alex Bowman fan for the 2026 season?
Yeah, so let me make this very clear. Alex Bowman will win a race this year because he always does when his back's against the wall. And I don't care what anybody says. He's not leaving Hendrick Motorsports at the end of the year. Alex Bowman's going to make the playoffs with ease, and he's going to come right off the back of what was a very good regular season last year and put himself in a not, a great position to win a championship, but a solid starting position. I think he's going to finish top 10 in points. He's going to have another career high in top 10s, maybe in top 5s. They'll win a race or two, and they'll be fine. The 48's going to be great as long as Blake Harris doesn't mess it up.
Hot take, he misses the playoffs.
If he misses the playoffs, there's a lot of issues. I'll put it like that.
There already is a lot of issues.
Yeah, well, let's put it like this. I would take him over Bubba Wallace making the playoffs. Am I wrong to say Bubba Wallace is a bubble driver? Think about it.
He's Bubba Wallace.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. But do you realize how bad of a collapse Bubba Wallace had last year in the middle season? Like him winning Indy 500, or the Brickyard 400, excuse me, was the difference maker on that 23 season. He was battling Bowman throughout the points, and he dropped drastically because they kept crashing. Like, did we forget that? DNFs matter now.
It's funny because I feel like I could name 16 drivers over both Bubba Wallace and Alex Bowman to make the chase.
Austin Cindric can't be one of them. There's no way.
No, I did not say Austin Cindric was going to be one of them.
It can't be Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch is one of them, and then you've got his other 3 Hendrick teammates. We're at 4. Then we've got I'm gonna, even though Ty Gibbs isn't gonna win the race, I think he can score enough points. I'll go the whole Gibbs camp. That's 8.
17th in points last year, by the way.
Okay, Blaney and Logano, that's going to get you to 10. Ross Chastain, 11. Shane Van Gisbergen is going to score points.
Ross Chastain, you're talking about the guy that barely finishes top 10 in points every year.
The guy
other than one good season.
If it wasn't for Paul Wolf, would have made the round of
barely 10th in the top 16? Yes or no? I think it is.
But I'm saying Ross Chastain, like, he's outside the top 10 at times in points. He has one bad season. I'm just saying.
Well, Ross Chastain is 11th. Shane Van Gisbergen is going to score enough.
SVG is not going to make the playoffs. That's my point.
Here, I'll help you. Chris Buescher, Ryan Priest.
Yep, those were
Ryan Priest is not making the playoffs.
Tyler Reddick
He was better than Bowman last year.
Tyler Reddick, 15. Carson Hocevar, 16.
Was he? That's funny.
Hocevar's got to be in there.
What? Ryan Priest was better than Bowman last year. Did Ryan Priest make the playoffs? Did Ryan Priest make the playoffs? Did Ryan Priest make the playoffs?
Did Bowman make
Ryan Priest make the playoffs? I think Alex Bowman finished ahead of him on points.
First year with the team. I think he has a good chance this year.
Oh no, I don't. I think Ryan Priest. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Bowman's seat's safe because Carson Hocevar extended his contract with Spire.
I don't think Bowman's losing a seat. I just don't think
he's not losing a seat anyway. Ally and Bowman have a great relationship. If you look from a pure marketing and business standpoint, Bowman is safe. And let's be honest, that 4th car, I've talked about this on the show before, that 4th car at Hendrick has never been superior anyway. You think Casey Kane, even Dale Jr. during his off years when he was the 4th car, it's not a bad car, but you can't have, usually, you aren't going to have 1st through 4th in points all be representative of the same team. Even JGR 2019, they had their big 3 and Eric Jones barely making the playoffs. You're always going to have that one guy that for some reason is a little bit off, but that's not a bad thing. It's still a decent season.
Tropper, here's my thing though. Like Alex Bowman, except for the year he had the neck injury and then was really kind of battling through it throughout the car, and he was in the playoffs, and then they had a big collapse during the summertime. Other than that one season, and you ignore the underfunded years when he was with BK Racing, Tommy Baldwin Racing, Alex Bowman's been in the playoffs every year. He's been in the top 16 in points every freaking year. So to say he's not going to make it, he's not falling off.
I never said he's not going to make it. I just said he's not going to perform up to the level of his teammates.
Eddie, I got a question for you.
Yes.
How do you sit here and say 2 weeks ago on the show that this system is going to help Alex Bowman and say that in the next breath he's going to miss the playoffs?
Because I thought about it. And I was like, wait a second, it's not going to help Alex Bowman.
I don't agree with that, but we'll see it again. This isn't me being a 48th. I just don't see it. This is a guy who makes the playoffs every year of his career with Hendrick Motorsports, except for one.
But you know what, Tim? One caveat: he's made the
Chase
playoffs
Elliott
every year.
didn't make the Chase Elliott
Alex
didn't make the
Bowman's never made the
playoffs that same
chase
year.
before. Alex Bowman's never made the chase before, Tim.
Fair point. Either as Chase Elliott, either as Ryan Blaney, either as, I don't know, any driver right now in the top echelon in NASCAR, not named Joey Logano or let's see, who else? I don't even know who else. I guess Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
Guys, I think we've learned one thing from this conversation. Never give Timmy a Bowman question on a quick fire round. Oh my goodness. Yap. Sorry, that's me.
Nah, you're good. So let's
now Bowman could win Bowman Gray. That one I'll allow.
Yeah.
He's one of the few that's raced there, technically.
Hey, if he wins there, then that's his win for the year.
I mean, you're not wrong. Could be. Historically, it's happened.
Let's pivot to a driver that has a little less controversy. Joey Logano. Kelsey, here's my theory, and this might be a bit of a hot take, but I referenced this on the show with the Tropper a couple weeks ago. And I'm not just saying this because it's an even year. And I'm not saying he's going to win the championship. I definitely don't. But everybody thinks Joey Logano's just going to fall off because they changed the format. He did score some pretty good points in some key moments down the stretch last year, number one. And number two, he's got who I think besides Cliff Daniels is the best crew chief in the sport in Paul Wolfe, who when Brad Keselowski and him had to pivot from the chase to the playoffs around like 2013, 2014, if you think back, I mean, when he won the championship in 2012, last couple of years of the chase, first year of the playoffs when he was battling Jeff Gordon for the regular season championship, Keselowski was scoring tons of points. Then they changed their approach and focused more on winning. He'd get his early win, he'd go on winning streaks, and he made it to the Final Four, I think 3 out of 5 years. Paul Wolfe is good at adjusting his team situationally to formats, and Joey Logano is a 3-time champion. So I don't think he's going to fall off the way some people do, but what are your expectations for Logano this season?
Logano will be in the playoffs. He's going to be there. There is no 22 and 26. I will stand by that. Logano will not be the champion this year. I think he'll be competitive. I think he is consistent. He definitely, like Byron, peaks and then kind of disappears for a while, but he pulls through when he needs to. And the 2024 championship shouldn't count.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree on that one.
I mean, that's a large reason why we're here to begin with the new format.
That is a large reason. A lot of the changes have happened are because of that specific championship. Tropper, let's talk quickly about RFK Racing because you mentioned them in the midst of the Alex Bowman argument. But Keselowski breaks his leg. I think he's probably, unfortunately, as much as I love Brad, he's going to be the weak link of the driver stable this year. But Ryan Preece, really impressive first year with the team. And Chris Buescher, I'm not going against this statement from a couple weeks ago, Tim. Chris Buescher is going to benefit very much from this format change because he's been consistently up near the top 10 in points the last 3 years and is going to score a lot of points this season and also is really good at getting stage points and maximizing even in races where he doesn't even have the most speed. So what are your thoughts on RFK, who are really looking for a bounce back after they got no cars in the playoffs last year?
And I'm feeling great about them because honestly, the only reason they need a bounce back is because of the old format. I mean, Chris Buescher, 2 of the last 3 years, he's been easily screwed just because he didn't have the win in time. Remember, he wins at Watkins Glen, but he got bumped out just because there were 1 or 2 other guys without wins that had more points. I think one year it was him or Blaney, something like that. Buescher especially is going to be in great shape. And honestly, I don't see any reason why Preece cannot follow suit. Those cars, they're the second best Ford team. Let's be real. It's either them or Penske, depending on the year. Penske kind of took back the title a little bit, but we were talking 2 years ago about RFK being that number 1 Ford team. And I think there's a chance that they still could be. Keselowski, even if he's not up to where he was, maybe it's the injury, maybe it's age finally getting to him, he's going to be a great veteran presence for those other two guys. And I think we are going to see the start of something special for RFK. I really do. I'm not saying even any of your drivers, I'm not saying Buescher's going to win the championship this year, but I think he easily makes the chase. I think he could finish top 10 in points because points is what matters now for him. He could rattle off a win or two. I do think it is possible. They are due for a victory. But at the same time, if consistency is what matters, there's no one more consistent than Buescher in many scenarios, including on road courses. How many times can you say, like, if SVG or Allmendinger aren't winning a road course, Buescher is one of those guys that is always sneakily in there. I mean, he's still, maybe he lost a streak this year, correct me if I'm wrong, but he had a streak of like 10 consecutive top 10s on road courses, something like that.
Beat SVG straight up on speed at Watkins Glen 2 years ago.
And that too, that's the most notable. But point being is that and he's a great plate racer. No one's as versatile, especially in a mid to lower high tier car. I don't think there's as much of a versatile driver that can capitalize in this format than Chris Buescher. I think it might help him the most out of anyone, and I'll say that right now.
So I have
Joy.
That's true.
Well, how would you feel, by the way, Tropper, just real quick? How would you feel if Corey LaJoie was one who broke their streak and won the Daytona 500?
That would be, I mean, good for LaJoie. He follows us on Motorsports Today.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
I have a pivot question for Timmy. How would you feel if Ryan Preece won the 500?
Well, considering how many times he's gone flipping at Daytona, I would say it's a good feeling for him because that means he's ended his super speedway demon. So
that is very fair. So I have a couple quick questions because we're gonna have a little graphic we'll put together, of course, on your social media. But I want to start with this. What change are you each most excited for? There's so many changes in the sport this year. Which one are you most excited for? There's plenty. There's the Chase, North Wilkesboro getting a points race, Chicagoland, San Diego, the Oval instead of the Roval. I feel like there might be some consensus, but I have to ask the question. For me, it's the Chase. It's the format I've wanted. I didn't want Winston points. I didn't want the playoffs. I wanted a middle ground, and we got that. So I'm happy about the Chase coming back. Kelsey, what change are you most excited about?
Honestly, Chicagoland. Chicago has the crowd. It brings the audience. Chicago Street wasn't it for me. Chicagoland's always been an iconic track. They did great on promoting it, doing the sneak peeks. Carson Hocevar leaking it on his social media, of course. Chicagoland will be great to see back on the schedule.
Tropper, how about you? Are you Team Chicagoland as well?
A mix of both of you. It's a 50-50, but I gotta go. I'm definitely a little biased here, but I gotta go with Chicagoland. I mean, I was at the first Chicago Street. I absolutely loved it. It was an incredible experience, but at the end of the day, the next-gen cars are better on a mile and a half. And Chicagoland and Joliet, I was at that facility once. I didn't get to see a race there, so that's on the bucket list. Maybe this year and it can finally be the year. But Chicago is just a track that has meant a lot to me as I was growing up. Like I said, even though without a race, kind of just seeing the facility and kind of as I'm getting into the sport, it's really cool to see that one back, especially on 4th of July weekend. I imagine we're going to do a lot of patriotic stuff. Maybe not to the extent as San Diego, because that's going to be the whole America 250 vibe. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't incredibly excited to see NASCAR back in Joliet.
Drew, how about you?
I'm gonna ride the bandwagon. I mean, I've raced it. I mean, it's not the same, but I've raced it so many times on iRacing. So I just gotta go with Chicagoland.
Tim?
While I can get on the bandwagon and see Chicagoland, I'm gonna counter to the Chase format. I mean, this is what I said for the last 3 years now has been the best format. As a kid, I dream about the battle that Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards had for a championship. And I still argue to this day, this is the greatest championship battle of all time in racing history. And rather you like that Tony Stewart won the championship or not, the fact that we can have that potential again here in 2026 and beyond, I think is so darn exciting. And I do want to counter this 1 second thing too, because it's not a rule change, but I will say this. If you don't watch the Arca Menard series, I'm just going to say here in 2026, I would recommend watching this here because with all of these, two of the biggest teams in the sport, kind of disappearing after the past year. And yes, they were bought out and certain other things, but that doesn't mean that you're going to see continuity, the same continuity from those teams. You're going to see what Nitro looks like this year for the record and so on. But
Let's see if McFarlane starts.
Yes. Yes, and if you're not rooting for him to win Daytona, I think you're nuts. You should hope he wins that ARCA race at Daytona. But I'll say it like this, is that this season's going to be very, very fun to watch. It'll be very fun covering, as it usually is, because it's always a nice show there in the ARCA Menard Series, especially Kansas. I love covering the races at Kansas, but that's a different story. But I'm excited to see what the future looks like for that series. And it's going to be a good championship battle, I think, in all three series this year, especially with how they're starting to make changes and so on with the East and West series. So it should be fun.
Yeah.
Moral of the story, though, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this the most excited the NASCAR fan base, at least us, have been in the last few years going into a season? Because there's been a lot of changes going into a season before, but it feels like every single one has actually been positive. And even though you could argue that they're going backwards, but they're going back to old ideas that worked. Like, I cannot think of a bad scenario here for NASCAR. I mean, this is as good as it gets for us right now.
Also, so much has happened in the last 2 months, but the fact that the lawsuit was settled too, just not having that clouding things anymore is a big plus.
I feel like NASCAR is finally, and no disrespect, finally starting to listen to their fans, and I feel like that's kind of the big turning point. I feel like that's what we asked for, especially last year on this show.
So, Kelsey, go ahead.
Going off the ARCA hype, I just have to mention it. First ever all-female team, City Garage.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm excited to see that and see the talent. Quinn Davis is going to be excellent. I think she's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, she was getting top 10s in the East Series already. We had her on the show a couple of months ago. Becca Monopoly, too. That should be very interesting. And they added a lot of people behind the scenes from some of the bigger teams that kind of dissipated. So I'm really curious to see where they stand. Now, next thing I wanted to go to, most improved and most disappointing driver. We're each going to have one of those. I'll start it to break the ice. I think the driver, and everybody, I was being told that I'm glazing him on TikTok. I admit that he has feuds with half the field and is a wrecking ball. That's why they call him the Hurricane. But Carson Hocevar, 3 separate times last year, was running toe-to-toe for the lead with Hamlin, Larson, Bell, Blaney at mile-and-a-half tracks that are the true showcase of speed and skillsmanship. He is going to have a very solid year, I think, and I think he's going to get his first career win. So my most improved driver is going to be Carson Hocevar. My most disappointing driver, don't worry, Tim, I'm not going to say Alex Bowman. I promise. I think the most disappointing driver is going to be Austin Cindric. I just think there's going to be a big separation that grows between the two Penske cars and him because he doesn't have the win to fall back on. He did not have good years the last 2 seasons, but lucked out of Ryan Blaney running out of gas at Gateway 2 years ago and got a super speedway win to get himself into the playoffs last year. I just don't see it with him, and I think we're going to finally see that gap really widen between him and the 2 champion teammates. I really like Austin Cindric, but for an organization like that, it's going to become glaring. So most improved and most disappointing, Hocevar and Cindric for me. Drew, I'll go to you first with yours.
So I've been, I'm going to kind of go the same route. I am known for kind of glazing this guy, and I feel like he kind of just went on under the radar with his strategy calls and, trying something different. So I'm excited to see Ryan Preece with the full fresh reset, second year at RFK. I mean, he's shown the talent, he's shown the speed. As long as he can start qualifying better, I feel like he will be up front. And I feel like he's a dark horse to make the playoffs. I don't want to pick the 3 obvious. I'm gonna throw somebody out there. I feel like Chase Elliott has a down year. I feel like he hasn't won like he has these last couple of years. And I feel like was his only win at Kansas when they went 4 wide?
Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta, yeah. And that was when the whole field wrecked down the backstretch. So, he's just been on the down. I think he still makes the playoffs, but I just don't think it's going to be the same as the last couple of years.
I just want to make a point. I just want to make a point about Preece real quick, though, because think about this. It's a career-defining year for him. Last year, obviously, if he fails, who knows if he's back with RFK, right? But we still don't know what the future of RFK looks like with these charter situations. Are they going to get a third charter? Are they not? What are they going to do? So if they don't, I mean, could Brad retire? I don't know. But then Brad says on a tweet, "Oh, I think I got another 7 more years in me." So no one knows what's going on over there in RFK land. So we'll see what happens. But I think for Priest, it's a must-prove year. For me, I will say it like this. I think the most improved, to be honest with you, is the guy we've been talking about that's going to benefit the most. I think it's going to be Chris Buescher. I mean, let's just be transparent. He's a consistent points driver. He finds a way to put himself in the mix. I understand he's missed the playoffs and so on, but Chris Buescher racing in this style of format, I mean, technically he has 2 Xfinity Series championships, right? Racing in this style of format, just without a chase. He knows how to keep a car together, knows how to be careful, and I just think I would not be surprised right now, and I'll sit on my grave saying this right now. I think Chris Buescher is a championship favorite this year when you look at the potential this 17 team has, truthfully. He may not be better than the 20, he may not be better than 24, but he knows how to keep the car better on the track than those guys that battle for the regular season title every year. So I'm eager to see. And my down, I mean, I'm just going to go out there and say it right now because he was our our biggest letdown in 2025 on the Timmy Awards. I'm just going to say it right now. Kyle Busch is going to disappoint again in 2026. You might as well pack your bags and spend some time over there, going across the seas, I guess you could say. What's the term, when you go to the off season?
Go to Cancun.
Cancun, thank you. Kyle Busch is going to be going to Cancun at some point this year because I just don't see how it gets better for Kyle Busch, and I don't want to hear any more about off-track activities. But I have a feeling it's going to be the highlight again in 2026. Let's put it like that.
Well, remember
Can't even get to Cancun.
Yeah, remember the last time he tried to go to
Actually-
Cancun, he tried to bring his open carry and his carry-on.
I think that was
another
resolved
story.
pretty quickly, though.
Yeah. Tropper, how about you?
I'm tempted to say Kyle Busch is going to be the most improved now, just to spite Tim, but I'll give another option. I'm going to stick with the hot take that I gave on the show on Friday, in all honesty. I feel like if we're talking someone that struggled at some points in the season last year, but John Hunter Nemechek, I truly do think legacy, they are going to continue to improve. They're going to get more of that Toyota manufacturer support. He had a bunch of top 5s, top 10s in the second half of the season, and there's no reason to think that, once again, I'm not saying Nemechek is going to be one of those guys that could point his way into the chase or win multiple races, but he finished 25th in points last year, and I think he could easily be top 20 or at least a bubble driver. I think if they could get the consistency and just a tad more speed, I really do think JHN can make some waves. And
he spent most of last year in the playoff cup, by the way, Tropper. You can't forget about that.
That was my other
true.
driver besides Ryan Preece. I was going between both of them.
Yeah, so I think that one's pretty easy for improvement. And then this one might be a little bit more predictable just because of the circumstances. He's one of the only ones switching teams and not necessarily for better. But Daniel Suarez, this is probably his last chance in Cup. This is what, his 5th or 6th Cup team now. I mean, I like Daniel. He has a massive fan base and he does have the talent. But at the same time, going to that 7 Spire entry where Justin Haley just flopped, I'm incredibly concerned that he's going to be overshadowed, especially by Hocevar, even McDowell. I don't know if his standings are going to get any worse. I'm looking here; he finished 29th in points last season. So, I mean, it's hard to say that there's going to be even more of a downward progression. But honestly, even if he stays similar to where he was in 2025, that's still a disappointment for 2026, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate to say, but when you really think about it, when you try to do the math on how many cars are significantly worse than that 7 with Suarez, there's not many. I mean,
maybe Cole Custer,
Cody
maybe
Ware,
Ty
Custer,
Dillon,
Herbst, and I mean,
maybe Riley Herbst and Cody Ware.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all you can really go with. Kelsey, finally, improved and disappointing drivers for you.
I'm amazed that neither of mine have been taken so far. This might be a little wild. Most improved Zane Smith. We saw him towards the end of the season start to pull off some good finishes. I think Front Row could get a win off him this season. It would be probably a miracle, but I would say he is going to be consistent. And for letdowns, I'm going to be so honest and say Tyler Reddick. We didn't really see much excitement out of him, and I don't really expect to see it this year.
I will give Reddick some benefit of the doubt. We all know he's had some off-track stuff going on, and that deterred him a lot from 2025. Now, I don't know if he's going to be completely bounced back, but I think the worst is over for him. That's what we defense.
I was
I'll
gonna say,
say,
telling being there at Kansas, you could just see he was mentally exhausted, and you had the feel for him, and you never hope that situation for anybody.
but
But I think that it comes down to how he sets the tone when you head to the track at Daytona, right? Because as much as he's gotten better at them, but he will also tell you super speedway racing has been his Achilles heel throughout his career, and Michael Jordan used to make fun of him about it as well. So if Tyler Reddick can figure it out start of the year, I think they're great. If 2311, by the way, I know Bubba Wallace won the race last year, but if they as an organization can find some speed, I just think it'd be great. And I'm eager to, by the way, I just want to mention as well. I know he stank last year and he was the worst driver than Cody Ware, but Riley Herbst has an opportunity here to put himself back in a position of, maybe not maintaining his job, but at least keeping relevancy in the Cup Series. Because I don't know how you have as good of a year, from an excitement standpoint as a prospect 2 years ago and flop this miserably last season. But I think Riley Herbst has to have a better year this year, because if he doesn't, well, I don't see how a team employs him beyond 2026 in the Cup Series.
Herbst is known to be a very slow learner, though. We saw it in Xfinity. It took him 2 or 3 years in good equipment to break through. And once he did, he was consistent. So, I'm not saying a Cup team is going to give him years and years worth of time, but I do think that this season could go better.
No, that's true. It's just that, there's
Corey
not
Haim.
much time to wait when you're in the Cup Series, number one, and when Corey Haim is waiting in the wings. That's the problem. But again, there's also the sponsorship thing, which is part of the reason why Herbst is in the car right now, not Haim. But
ridiculous. We have no Corey Haim announcements, by the way, in 2026.
Yes,
That is ridiculous.
Yes, we are a week from
Wasn't it somewhat confirmed that he's going to do multiple races for all 3 series? I know that's not a full-time.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous. He
should be competing for a championship. I'm sorry.
Arguably a more dominant season than Zilich did.
Arguably, he led in every. I love Zilich, but Corey Haim led in every single race this year.
He's good at every track type. I don't know. That's
Did he lead over 50% of the laps in the season or something?
That's the one stat I don't know, but I believe it.
Yes, it's ridiculous. But you know what's not ridiculous? The championship going to be crowned by the Chase, and now it's time to lock in our championship picks. Jeffrey, thankfully, is not here to pick Ty Gibbs as the champion, though he did get it right partially, since Ty Gibbs did win the in-season challenge. But as you know, if you watch this show, a bit has become me picking Christopher Bell to win the championship every single year. And I was really excited at the beginning of last season when he'd won 3 out of 4 races. Then he kind of fell off, and then ultimately actually had his worst year in the next gen era in terms of where he finished in the playoffs. Wasn't even close to making it to the Final Four. So now we get to this year, but I just like the fact Christopher Bell, we talk about versatility, he's good everywhere. That car is really good. I know that Kyle Larson exists. I know Denny Hamlin's coming with a fire. I know William Byron's there, and I know there's Ryan Blaney. But I am going to stick with my guts from the last 3 years. I'm going to keep saying it until he finally wins one. Christopher Bell is as good of a prospect as Gibbs has had through all these past ones of Busch and Hamlin and Joey Logano. He's the next one up. He's proved it year in and year out. This is going to be the year with this format. Christopher Bell, 2026 NASCAR Cup Series champion. Tropper, you backed me up on Christopher Bell last year. Will you be siding with me again this year?
Every year this show's been in existence, Eddie. Christopher Bell, really? Come on. That's where I'm
picking him until he retires, probably, or wins the championship.
I respect the grind. I'll give you that. And there is a legit argument for him, but I look and I'm looking at the standings from last year. I'm going with gut feelings. There's only maybe 5 guys that we can really say has a true undeniable chance every single year. And I am so back and forth because I take pride in these picks, but I'm good at our week-to-week picks. But picking 36 weeks in advance, that has been my Achilles heel. So I am trying really hard, and I feel like I'm down to 2. I'm taking you guys straight through my thought process. I feel like it's either going to be Blaney or Briscoe. Now, it's one of the B's, but not Bell. I think just find it so hard to lock in Blaney, because even though Penske elevates at the end of the season, for them really to win 4 of the most recent 5 Cup championships, I don't know. And Briscoe, we were just talking about how great of a season he had. There is the possibility of a slump, but if he can continue anywhere close to how he progressed with JGR, you know what? What the hell? We're locking it in. Chase Briscoe, number 19, JGR. He will be my 2026 championship pick.
All
We'll
right,
see how it
deep
goes.
breath. Kelsey, how about you?
You had the same 2 down to the edge, but I'm going to have to take Ryan Blaney. Between him and Briscoe, but I think Blaney's hungry for it. Winning at Phoenix while not being in the Final Four, that final straw to push him into it.
Drew.
I respect that. That was point flip for me.
I think I said this. No, I didn't say him last year. With all the controversy that happened, well, not controversy, that all the stuff that he's been going through for the last 2-3 months. I'm gonna go with Denny Hamlin. I think that Denny Hamlin finally gets it done. I hope he does.
All right, 4 different drivers picked by the 4 of us.
Who's first?
Timothy, it is down to you.
You can go
Please go
with the
someone
designated 13th man or 17th man in the playoffs. I'm going with Jeff Gordon here. But in all seriousness, I agree with Kelsey. I just think this is the year. If you're going to break the Logano streak, it's going to be Ryan Blaney. I just don't see how the best car, in my opinion, all of last season, doesn't win in this kind of format. Blaney's so consistent. He makes passes. His only real failures last year were engine failures. And if Penske can just figure that out, and especially when it matters the most, I just think Ryan Blaney is the perfect driver to win this first championship back in this format. I mean, there's nobody as consistent as him on pace week in, week out. And the other questions too, by the way, because I know Tropper, you mentioned Briscoe. While I'd like to believe, and right, there's not much change driver-wise from last year to this year, and Briscoe had the best playoff of anybody in terms of consistency. I mean, the other thing too is a lot of it was track position based with qualifying and stuff. Can he keep that up? And you have to account for, obviously, I mean, it doesn't visually look like a big change, but how different are the Chevys going to be this year? We don't know. We just simply don't know until we get, I would say, a quarter of the way into the season to really get the true litmus test. But
So-
I mean, Ryan Blaney is the litmus test for me for Ford. He's the guy, even though he doesn't have the championships like Logano, he's the guy that leads that Penske camp, in my opinion, and he's in the best position to win a championship in 2026.
Well, do you guys know how many points, and miss me genuinely asking, those Winston Cup points that people calculate? I know it's apples and oranges here.
It was Christopher Bell the last 2 years.
Where did Blaney rank, and where did Briscoe rank, generally? Do you
Briscoe
remember?
was 4th, I think, and Blaney was 6th or something like
Yeah,
that.
Briscoe led it for a period last year.
Yes.
I
So
know.
I'm
He was
feeling a little bit
close.
better.
Yeah. So,
Blaney's the epitome of checkers or wreckers, though. If he's not in the top 5, it's only because he's DQ'd or out.
yeah. I mean, he's
See, this
right there.
format could punish it more, but it'll be fun to watch.
I think what we can agree on, it's going to be an exciting season. Lots of changes, and with this format, it's going to bring a lot of possibility for some different champions. Who knows what's going to happen, but that's been our season preview. I do want to wrap the episode quickly with this out because I've been making the ASMR sounds, Tim. It's our SeatGeek Diecast of the Week, and I have my 2012 Matt Kenseth Zest car. Now, first of all, I love this scheme. Usually sea green and blue on the same car would really clash. I think it kind of works here. I never had a Matt Kenseth diecast, and because I bought a Kevin Harvick diecast in 2011 and it was a Budweiser sponsored car, so it came on that little platform, because technically, since it's sponsored by alcohol, it's not supposed to be a toy. So my dad had to spend an hour with a screwdriver and a knife trying to pry it off.
So you got a fake Christmas ornament? That's what you got? Yeah.
Yes. So Kenseth's primary sponsor back then was Crown Royal. So I didn't want to have to deal with that. Then I went to Pocono. Fun fact, well, not really fun, but this was purchased 20 minutes before the whole incident at Pocono in August of 2012. We all know what I'm talking about. It was right as the rains came.
Just going to say that was 2012
yes,
car. It looks
I
like
bought this right before I got out of there. But the reason I remember this is because anytime you bought this, it came with a Zest bar of soap that was shaped like Matt Kenseth's car. So you got this plus a free bar of soap that was shaped like a NASCAR that me and my dad ended up making use of. So
Wait. How do you get that? Because I am 99% sure I have that exact same die cast in my case upstairs, and I do not remember any branded soap.
because I bought it at the track. I bought it
Touche.
in the Roush hauler. So that is what.
Touche.
Yes, it came with that, and I bought that there. And this was my first Matt Kenseth. This is my only Matt Kenseth number 17 diecast, which is kind of crazy given that's like a car that he ran for 15 years and won a championship with. But
think about this, Tropper. If you went to the track 10 years earlier, you could have had a bar of soap with it for free.
yeah,
Think about
Oh
that.
man, that kills me inside now. I mean, I'm really regretting my life choices.
oh well. But that is our SeatGeek diecast of the week. And that's going to do it for this episode of Motorsports Today. Reminder, we have a really busy week. We're going to have content from IndyCar Media Days across our social media over the next few days. Friday, we'll be back on the air to get you set for the Clash, which Tim is supposed to be covering this weekend, but we'll see what happens with the snow all across the East Coast. But for Tim Moore, Adam Tropper, Drew Jewah, Kelsey Christman, I'm Kalegi signing off of this episode of Motorsports Today. We will talk to you again on Friday.